Got it. Got it. Replay. Can't replay. We're going to be talking about Pinehurst. Had everything laid out. Best laid plans of mice and men, right? And totally janked up by one button on the whole screen. All right, so we're going to talk about Pinehurst and our trip. Just got back from it. We're also going to talk about I found a little information, performance information from other club fitters on the Mizuno High Launch. We're also going to talk, club making, club fitting repairs, opinions, just like we always do. And we'll see how this thing goes. However, why is it what's in my drawers? Well, it's because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats. And I'm no different. And that's how this thing started. And we're talking with people from across the world in order to be able to talk about golf gear. So let's get started. This ain't going to be any different. So, number one, we'll start with, we'll get the Mizuno thing out of the way. There's a club fitters thing out there or on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And a lot of the guys we know, and we started talking about the Mizuno High Launch. And a lot of the guys are really starting to get behind it. Again, this is for guys who had like a 7 or a 6 iron speed that just shot this side of just south of 80. And they said they were throwing it out there nice and tight and actually as far and sometimes further than the lower lofted counterpart. Now, a lot of people would, if you get in your golf discussions, a lot of people would go, oh, that's a lie. It doesn't make any sense. All these different things, except for the fact that height, just like on a driver, height is your friend. And the longer you can throw that thing out in the air, the further it's going to travel, right? So if you're hitting these low shots, just like we were talking before, if you're hitting these low shots, they're going to fall faster. And if you get in the off season, they're not going to run. Where if you can hit them higher and they go further, they're going to land further down the road and they're still going to roll out. It's not like it's going to stop unless you're a big spinner and get out there. And the overall is still going to be longer. So, and they're hitting them pretty good. So if you were considering that, that's one of them. To the point, one of our previous customers who does the very thing that we were trying to talk about, trying to get a little bit of air, we've got a custom set with custom shafts and ferrules and the whole 9 yards, waiting on the shafts to come in for the heads that we just received. I just got my first order, so I got the JPX 923 Hot Metal Pro, and Hot Metal High Launch. And if the full order showed up, I've got lefties and righties, so we should be in pretty good shape. Okay, Pinehurst. I've never been to Pinehurst. Mrs. McGolf and me, Bob and Penny, our fun traveling companions, good friends, went to Pinehurst. It was a Christmas gift from the ladies to me and Bob in order to go down there. And I've already said this story once before in that we were going to try 2 and 4, but it was price prohibitive and we didn't know anything about the area. So we decided to try it out differently. So what we did was we got a 4-course deal from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we came home Sunday. And so the first course, we stayed at Talamore. We stayed at the Talamore. Gosh darn it. We stayed at the Talamore cottages, I guess is what you would call them, and super nice. I was impressed. We had a 2-room condo on the 2nd floor, had a very nice kitchen area, right-sized fridge, a big living room area, went on to what I would call a smaller back porch. It was just big enough for a couple of folks. Everything else was just tremendous shape. And they had a communal area that was pretty doggone nice. So if you're having those big trips, you can get out there. And Bob and Penny made the best of it. Penny is our friend maker of the group, and she did very, very well. So in the beginning, so I got some tchotchkes, right? And the first one I got for Robin, which was Talamore. Now, Talamore is known for the llamas. They had llamas there to carry your golf bag, and true to form, they were there. And if I can find it for you, I did take a picture of them. Here we go. And there they are. They were hiding in the trees. They didn't want anything to do with us, but they're in the back there. There's, yep, that's both of them. So there was three of them there. The two white ones were together, and then there was a salt and pepper one that was a little bit further away. But they are still there, so that's pretty cool. I tried to get a pin flag, but they were out, and that seemed to be a common theme for a lot of these places. I will recommend highly Talamore. It was a nice layout. Well, let's go back. Any one of these places that you go play will be extraordinarily picturesque. All right. Every last one of these golf courses that we played was in a great shape. All right. They take care of their stuff. And everybody, I can't believe how friendly these folks were. Very, very well done. And I could see where it's going to be a push. They're going to try and be like the golfing capital of the world, or at least of the U.S., and they're making a push to make that happen, and with Pinehurst in the lead to making that go. So yeah, if you've never been, I give it a big thumbs up. If you've been there, tell me about it, and let's hear what stories, what courses did you like the most. So Talamore, well, that's not Talamore. There we go. That was part of it. There's the llamas. And what you're seeing is the layout. We've got a midday kind of tee time on this one because we drove down at that point. But you'll notice there we go. That was basic. If you looking at a Pinehurst, North Carolina, layout, this would be it, with all kinds of the nice trees lining fairways. Greens were in pretty good shape. And this was looking backwards. I'm standing on the green through the sand trap, and that was looking backwards. I thought they were just about as picturesque going backwards as they were going forward. Now, this is me standing on the edge of the green, and you can see there's a big old hump in order to get over the top of that one, and it was pretty impressive. You can see the grass is ready to start coming in, and here's 18. We were standing on the balcony at that particular point of the clubhouse, and we'll talk about that one here in a moment. Alrighty. I believe that one's the next one. Okay. So Talamore, on Thursdays during the season, they have what's called pig picking, and they have a pulled pork dinner, and it came with a piece of fried chicken. It was free if you were staying at the Talamore area, and we were, and we did, and it was excellent. I was kind of afraid I was going to get into this mustard-based stuff, and the pulled pork was excellent. The chef did a great job. They came with a piece of fried chicken that was out of this world, and it was very well done. And the group was around there, and it was funny because these guys introduced themselves as, we're here from Columbus, which is an hour north of us, and we work for the Fed and blah 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 blah. And then there was another group that said that they were Ohio State fans. And I made a bet with Bob, and I said, how many knees do you think I can bust if I just went OH out there? The reason why I say that is if you've never seen it, if you're an Ohio Stater, you go OH, and everybody will either stand, if you do your, OH, or if you yell it out, then they'll go IO. And normally people will stand up and stuff, and I'll just see how many kneecaps would bust off, but it was very cool to say the least. Anyway, got to flying around. Turns out I flew my drone over there, and I didn't put it on here because we're going to make a video of this whole thing. And Mark from Columbus, who we fit, he was in one of my videos. He was down there, and as I'm flying, I hear, "Hey, Jim!" And it was a good time. Got to talk to a bunch of the guys from Columbus. Some really good shots were being hit. They got some golfers up there. All righty. So the next one, we went to a place called Pine Wild. And Pine Wild, we'll start with tchotchkes. I decided to try, I always like something a little different. There you go, Pine Wild. A little Scotch taster, huh? How about some of that? And then I got one of these. I'm a sucker for like a ball marker that does that. And then it's got one of those markers on it that will come off. Right, so you can see that magnetic. There it is. One more for the collection. All right. And then as I go in there, Robin gets all mad at me for doing it, but at each golf course I picked up a pine cone. So this is Pine Wild. All right. So we did that one. So Pine Wild was a is a 218s. All right, 218s. And they were, one is called the Magnolia and the other is called the Holly. And the Magnolia is more for the members only, where Holly is more traversed by people like us. And again, the guys in there were super duper nice. They let me fly. They didn't have a problem. Took some pictures. They didn't have a problem with that. And we ended up being a twosome by ourselves. We were following three ladies that were members there, and they played like they were being shot out of a cannon. Man, we were moving and shaking just trying to keep up with them. And it was something else. There was no messing around with those ladies. So that was pretty good. So let's see if we can get started. There we go. So this is the first tee, and we were getting off very early. As you can see, some of the dew on the green, and there was the ladies in front of us. And by the time we got there, they were already gone. So not bad. And you get to see the layout, very well manicured, very well kept. Again, the tree-lined areas that all these courses are going to be known for. By far and away, this was one of the more well-kept courses, in my opinion. Now, it's hard to say that with all the courses that there are there. And you see, this one's wide open. You can make a few mistakes and still come away with this one. And then it takes you into this. All right, and there's some homes to the side, but they're not intrusive of the golf course, which was great. And we can see some of this going on. All righty, and then I started taking some pictures of some of the areas. This is a par 4, number 4. Had a little bit of water. There's number 5. It takes you off to the right and throws you down. Number 9, making it around a bend here as we're getting into the sunshine. That was the other thing, is that we took off, and it would be the first day started in the 40s and got into the 70s when we got there. And then every other time we started, it was in the 50s, which was a very warm 50, and got into the 70s. So it was shorts weather the entire time. It couldn't have been more perfect. All right, there's the number 9. And there's just some more. This was a par 3. This was an interesting one. We got stories on this. This is a 205-yard par 3 from where we were playing. And if you look at it, it looks like it's got a mouth and 2 eyes, because it's just looking to laugh at you when you don't hit it. And hit it with a hybrid, actually landed on the green, got really, really close. At least we thought it banged off the stick. Bob hit the stick, I hit the stick. It was in different holes, and it was just fun to play around. So that one was a very, very tough. I mean, none of these courses are gimmies. All right, none of them. You got to go down there with your mind right, otherwise it will eat you up, because it did me on the last hole, and I wasn't ready for that. All righty, so here's some more. We got to clear some water. This was a neat little par 4. So again, the water came into play in quite a few of these places, but none of the water, except for maybe that one par 3, but none of the other water was where you had to hit this incredibly monstrous shot. They were all easy to get over, right? You hit a driver, or you get close and you can get over, but none of them were penal, right? None of them were super penal in order to get over top of. And that's what I really enjoyed, that part of it. And they're coming around to 18 again. I believe this was either 17 or 18, and we just had to cross this, and it looks huge, but in reality, it's not. It hit very, very well. Then we got done with that round, and we ended up going to the Pinehurst Brewing Company. Definitely recommended. It's exactly what you would think of it. It's an old power station converted into a brew house, and they had some pretty good food there, and some different types of beers if you're into that thing. It just so happens while we were down there during this time frame, there was some sort of festival going on right in the middle of town, and Robin and Penny were able to take in those particular sites while we were golfing. So that was a promising thing. All righty, the next one is Let me make sure. Mid-South? Yeah. No, Mid-Pines. Mid-Pines was the next one. And the Mid-Pines, I got the traditional golf ball. I don't know if you can see it. Traditional golf ball. And I also picked up yeah. Oh, my. I picked up a pin flag. I was really I kind of started with the pin flags. I wanted the one at Talamore has the United States with a stick, but the United States is in the shape of a llama, and then they have a thing goes down. It very much resembles the Masters in its color and layout, but it is freaking cool, and I'm waiting on one of those. But those the pines, and of course pine cone, different kind of pine cone, and it was nice. I like that one. You'll be able to see. Here's the layout that we had. Now in this one we golf with two members, and they helped us get around it because there was a couple of shots that you would have to have a little bit of hometown knowledge on, and we got around there with them pretty well. Again, in the morning, this is the first tee. Now this one, this is all water off here to the right where you can see looks like a little creek that was sitting there. There you go. That's a much better look at it. And this is what we had to play into the first couple of holes. Now, Mid-Pines, and we just saw where we came down, and now we're looking around. This is what this looks like. This was a par 5. Okay, so the par 5. So Mid-Pines was probably not. It was a little bit more narrower than, say, the one before, but it was more expansive the other way, and there was a lot more character in between it. Not to say the other ones didn't have it, but as you can tell, if you look at this is the kind of stuff that we were golfing into. The pin off here to the left, and there is a creek that runs across it. So when I mean characters, I mean that kind of stuff. All right, and this is coming in on 9 right here, and I believe that one shares a green with 18. So it's a double green. Yeah, it's a double green. Now, another story time. There's a bridge that goes across it, and I hit one of the absolute most awfulest golf shots ever known to man, and I hit the wooden supports that go across it, and when I hit off of it, it shot it at the green. I ended up on the green after a really, really bad shot. So there's those days where it says it's better to be better lucky than good, right? All righty. So I think of Mid-South. I'm sorry. This one's called Mid-South. That's what it's called, and that's what I got out of it. And this one has the hole. It's got yardage markers and the names of the holes all the way around it for 9 and then 18. And it's an Arnold Palmer course, and this one comes off of it as well as the magnet. Mid-South. I'm sorry, that was Mid-South. And anyway, that is still Mid-South. And Arnold Palmer course, very nice layout, very well done. And this is going on. You got to see this kind of stuff. They have their little, I call it brush grass. It's painful enough to get into it, but it's also painful to get out. You had to really place your ball when those things were in the way in order not to get into them. So you had to be a little more strategic. This one right here, this hole we were more down along the coastline or along the ridge line, and there was that one. Okay, last one, and or last two, and then we'll get to it. Alrighty, so the last one is Mid Pines. You saw all this stuff. Mid Pines is the design course, and they warn you coming into it that the greens are going to be a little bit of this, everything's going to be a little bit of that, and it's the very popular designer, and his name is going to come to me here in a moment. And I went into that place totally not ready. And you get to see places there's the second hole. There we go. This is the kind of picturing that you got playing Mid Pines. And I mean, just gorgeous stuff, right? And it's everywhere. Well, what I'm not showing you is, there's a partner we were playing with. And I mean, it's just so well kept all the way around. There's the golfing frog in one of the places. Okay, so we're coming up, and there's the last one. There's coming up 18, or this was 18 at the other course, going the other way. So anyway, hit the last one, ate my lunch, and I was in no mood to be playing golf when I got done. And the course designer knew exactly what he was doing by putting sand traps in the strategic places, and it was just, the greens were immaculate. Everything was just in really good shape. I just played poorly. I would normally say something, but this is on TV. So that's what it was. So the last part is Robin bought me a history book of Pinehurst. So I now have something to read. Yes, we did stop at the Pinehurst. We didn't go to the Pinehurst because I wanted to leave that as another trip to have, but I did pick up a tchotchke there and a pin flag from them as well. Okay, so we get all that. So as a whole, it was a good visit. The weather was fantastic. There's a lot of golf there. There's all kinds of golf there. And enough you could probably, if you did what we did made it a long weekend, you could probably golf there for a month and not play the same one, and play good and play on high end quality golf courses. So I would certainly recommend that highly. And it won't take a big large hunk out of your wallet if you stay away from the Pinehurst propers, but outside of that you might have to gin up a few bucks. Okay, so we got that one. We took care of all that. Let's go see what all the comments are about. Matt's here. Hi, guys. Shot a 73. Lost by 4 in my game on Saturday. Tough one. Question. A 70. Well, Matt, you haven't played in almost 3 weeks, dude, and you still got a 73 out of it. I'd say that's all right. All right, can you talk about different ways to take off and save a grip? Happy Monday. All right. Well, to save a grip, there's basically 2 ways. One is by air. You put the air in the back, you blow it up, and you pull it off. That is depending on the grip. If you're talking wind grips, it's not a very high percentage save, but for rubber grips, it can be. And if they've been on there a very long time, maybe not. The other one is that they have these tools that are in a V shape that are longer, and you wedge them underneath. You wedge them underneath the grip, and then you pour solvent down into the grip or into that V that you just created, and you work it around. Now you have this ability to stretch it, but that you're going to have to get it going anyway, because there's normally that 2-layer tape underneath of it. And then you can work it around and then hopefully slide it off. Now in that same vein, you can use what we call a solvent gun. And a solvent gun's got a needle. I don't know if I had one. Here we go. So you would work the that V-shaped issue, and you would open up a spot right. You're not going to be able to see it, but right there. All right, and work the solvent that way. In a needle gun, you would take a needle, literally, a pressurized gun, and you would punch it into here and run it down the length, and then you would squirt it, and you would see the grip grow, and you would see this growing get all the way to the end, and once it squirts out the bottom end, you can twist it and it comes off. But those are the two ways I know of. All right. Emmanuel, what's going on? Going to close the competitive year. Enjoy the accomplishments. Oh, built a set of irons and driver for a local pro, and he won twice. Built wedges for his son, and he won his flight. Well done, sir. That's always the mark, right? Build stuff for the guys who do well. Finished the season shooting a 72 in the senior flight. You are the man. So during our discussion night, will you forgive me if I indulge in a good cigar? And salute. Well done. All right. Jack, what's up, man? Haven't made a live telecast in a while. Yeah, and I'm glad you are back, bud. How's Illinois? We're getting into the 30s, mid 30s, low 40s, and then it's jumping up into the 50s and 70s. So we're having this. We're in the middle of the season change. It's getting pretty radical. I might get a couple more days in, and then we're going to be inside as well. Danny, man, we're having the return of everybody. Good deal. It's good to be here today. They moved our summer dogfight to Monday evenings, but still have been watching all the episodes. Good deal. Good deal. Duke, how you doing? If you were going to the PGA show, and we are, what do you get excited to see while there? Okay. So, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this several times before we leave. So if you go to the PGA website, it talks about the vendors that are going to be there. I got all these tchotchkes sitting around here, and I'm like this with all of them, so I got to stop. So a couple of things. Number one, we review the year, what we did well with, what we didn't do well with, and what we think is going to happen going forward based on what we're seeing in the golf club technology part of it. Then I go over to the PGA Show website, and they'll have a list of vendors. And we go through the vendors, and you can pick whether you want, clothes or trophies or golf equipment or technology or swings. Fitness is becoming a thing, and then you can see which vendors have signed up to date. And I think what we're going to see is a whole bunch of people last minuting in the OEM category, because we've already seen Titleist has jumped on board. I've been told Strixon's already on board, and we just saw where Cobra / Puma are going to be on board. They're always good for really, really a raucous on the driving range. They have this blow up meeting area, and it's really kind of nice. It very much pointed at the younger generation, but it is kind of neat to see. They always bring a DJ, and he's in this thing that just pops up and it makes loud music, and it's actually pretty good. Alrighty, so anyway, we go through there, and I make my list, and then if I'm really interested in them, I'll send them emails and learn a little bit more about them, and then I make a list, and then Mrs. McGolf will go nope, and then we schedule it out for which days that we go to see. Now, for me, what I like to go see are the component companies, meaning the grip companies, the shaft companies, head companies if they've got them. And I like to go visit the OEMs to try and, we'll go visit some old friends, that kind of thing. And then see, if it's a company we're interested in, maybe opening up a contract with them, that kind of thing. And then I always like the thing that really gets my eye is the new inventions section. The new inventors or new inventions section, because there's always one one thing out there that catches my eye. Always one. This last year was the dimple chairs. Turned out to be a really great buy. Before that, there have been things to help you with balance. There's been some tools. There's been hitting mats. There's always one thing, and it's never in one genre. And there's easily 50, 60 different guys. And I like talking to them because they're kind of new to the industry, and they're very energetic about getting their name out and stuff. So it's a lot of fun to talk to them and that kind of stuff. So, and the last bit, what I get excited while I'm there, I'm sorry, that the Acra also has their own version of a demo day there the day before the PJ demo day, where we get together with a bunch of other guys that do what I do. Big time club makers, guys that have been doing it for a long, long time, and everybody in between. But we all have one thing in common. We deal with the Acra product, Acra/True Temper product, and we're all into fitting. And it's a good, they put on a very good day, and I really like doing that one. All righty. Mr. Brendan, how are you, sir? Glad you could make it on. Thanks for staying up late. Again, hopefully those Srixons are working out for you. Duke, did you see anything about the new Cobra Aerojet driver in 2023? I heard it's a beast according to the video I saw today. I have not. Now, Cobra is not very forthcoming with me because there's no Cobra representation down here, and they don't even know I exist, although I have sent them messages, so we'll certainly have to check that kind of stuff out. Mr. Club Doctor, how are you, sir? Thank you for staying up late. David Rogers, hope you enjoyed Pinehurst and made it to Dugan's Pub. We did not. We did not make it to Dugan's Pub. We talked about it. By the time we got done in a couple of cases, they still were not open, and we were starving. So we did not make it. We were going to try the Sly Fox, but we ended up eating at this place called Char 7 Bar. It was actually pretty good. Nice steak. And they had some fried mushrooms that were just outstanding. So, yeah. And I tell you what, the Talamore's kitchen was no slouch either. They did a very fine job as well. There's Charles. How are you, sir? Glenn Levitt. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. All right. Jim, struggling to hit my long irons in my new clubs. I feel I need to flatten them 2 degrees. Do you think this would help? Also, how long does it take to transition to a new set of clubs? Personally, it would be my opinion that your transition period, depending on the caliber of player, it should not be very long. Actually, shouldn't be very long for anybody. All right. It's kind of a reverse logic kind of setup, meaning that if you're getting started and you had some ill-fitted clubs and you got new ones, the impacts ought to be seen pretty much right away. For the guys that are above average to above that, there might be a bit of a longer time frame, and that's because you're used to seeing something and you've played to a very good level with it, and now something's changed and your confidence is not as high as it would have been until you hit that really good shot, and then all of a sudden you're on it. Okay, now if you're towing it, if you're towing it or you're pulling it, a flattening of the club, particularly in long irons, probably would be the way to go. All right, would probably be the way to go. The other one is don't be afraid to choke down, say, a 1/2 of an inch on it either. If you're digging on the flight and you like what you see, but you're just not flushing it, so to speak, choke down just that little bit. All right, for the metric guys, 2.5 centimeters, right about there, and you'll be fine. And well, that's probably an inch. That's probably a little bit more than I need. Maybe 1.25. Just come down about that much, and try it again, and give it a time, give it a shot. 4 or 5 good attempts to see whether or not that doesn't do it for you. It could be that they're just maybe a little bit long. Yep, we figured that one out. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I've been told that before. All righty, Mr. Willard, how are you, sir? Thank you for joining us. Well, let's see. I can fix that part of it. I hope I'm as high as I can go for right now, hopefully. If I go up, I can do more. There you go. I can tell you what, Bob was a beastie out there in the fairway. He's got I think I've got him on a 12-degree-ish type club, and I watch him and he's pull out this driver and he sits it down and he hits one right off. I'm getting ready to say, what the hell are you doing? And he hits one right off the deck and just absolutely blasts it. I was like, well, I guess you know what you're doing. And he hits it. It was pretty doggone good. Nick Brunyard, regards from Germany. Well, thank you for being up this late with us. What's your opinion on range balls when fitting? Do you offer customers a choice of golf balls? I do. So I do have range, so I do have range balls. And I do have range balls here in my fitting studio, and I use them in particular for letting the golfer get warmed up, and then I use it for testing for length, because for the length of the golf club, not the length of the shot. For the length of the golf club, I want all the balls to be exactly the same, which are the range balls. And that way I've eliminated just one more variable from my test. So these guys right here are all different clubs, the same length, same flex, same everything except for length. And I put impact tape on it, which is a story on its own. Anyway, I'm looking for the tightest pattern that can be made, and we hit the range balls for that. And it's universally the same. Everybody wants to know how far they're hitting it, and they'll go, "Oh, I hit it further than that," and you most likely do, because these 6-irons that I use are probably older than most of the folks that come in here, and they're of what we would call a traditional loft. So you're not going to hit them as far. The idea here is to hit them solid. We'll get far here in a little bit, but I need them solid, and that's when I use the range balls. Once we're done finding the regular length, then I go into regular golf balls. Now, I'm also involved with Callaway, so I'll have the Chrome Softs. I have some Chrome Soft X, some LSs, and Super Softs. I don't have any of the other ones. I also do have some Wilson Triads and some Wilson Staffs, and I have I'm looking right at a Q-Star from Strixon. So I've got about every, layer covered in order to give them an idea of what would fit and what doesn't. All right. Michael Barber, how are you, sir? Glad you could join us. Let me know when you're there. I'll make a phone call for you. Okay. I'll let Mrs. McGolf give you a time frame on that one. She knows my schedule better than I do. Past my prime. Hello, sir. How are you? Hopefully everything's going well. James Hodges, how are you, sir? Golly, guys, thanks for staying up late. There he is. How are you, sir? Do you guys like Rory go? Do you guys like Rory go with a tipped XFlex driver instead of a TX? Rory plays a Venice X in a driver and has a driver, and a Fuji has a TX Flex. So there's probably a few extra things in there about the difference between a TX and an X. I would imagine the TX has even lower torque. All right, it has even lower torque, and torque is kind of important, particularly for these guys. And you would think, well, it's an X Flex, how much torque can there be? And you wouldn't be too far off, but we're talking about these guys are measuring things in centimeters and inches versus feet. So it can make a big deal. And it has a thing to do with feel. The TX for Rory may feel boardy, right? Because if he swings fast, he really does. He swings very fast. However, he swings very fluidly. He's not an aggressive swinger per se. A lot of people will get speed versus aggression mixed up, and the higher that you go, you're more aggressive. That's not the case whatsoever. Rory can just generate that kind of clubhead speed because he trains himself to, so that he's not grunting while he's doing that. And when you're a little bit more smoother, that the X would probably feel better and perform as well than the TX. And talking with the guys on the tour trailer not too long ago, that tipping most of these driver shafts are pretty much about where they're all living anyway. So there you go. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me in the least, but based on what we're seeing, and the Ventus is probably a little less boardy feeling than the Fuji. Well, duh. A lot of the Fuji stuff is stiffer in the butt section, where this Ventus is not. All right. Sounds like a good time in Pinehurst. It was, Emmanuel. It was, and I would be happy to go back. It's about a 6.5. Well, about what was it? A 7-hour ride, 6.5, 7-hour ride, and with one stop in between. And it's just a real nice drive. It's real easy, and so I certainly hope we go back. Robin's talking to a bunch of folks. Dave, what's going on? Rainy and 42. Yep, but it's gonna be in the 70s here too, sir. I'm just trying to figure out how I can wiggle to getting in there. I'm not a big Celsius to Fahrenheit guy, but 11 degrees still sounds a little bit cool. All right, Sunny V. Yeah, you guys are getting real close to the end of the time frame, aren't you? Do you go down? Do you summerbird down into the States, or do you stay up there? Danny, there he is. I'm hitting irons with 85-gram shafts now. If I do wedge shafts, same weight instead of the 115s in now, or would I lose the power or feel? All right, Danny. So what I would do is, this is funny because there's a guy in my golf spy. He goes by C. Nosel. And I golfed with him at the my golf spy meeting that we had in Virginia. And he was doing the same thing. He had 85-gram shafts. He was very much a very good player. He was a great swinger. He wasn't aggressive. And I saw him struggling in the short game where he would thump, or, I mean, he could play, but you could tell that was where his struggles were in order to get lower scores. And so he was like, well, what do you think? And he asked me the same exact question that you're asking me right now. And what I told him is that you want to go, I would like to see him in a designated wedge shaft for those wedges that are not full swing. All right. So in a lot of cases, the pitch and wedge and the gap wedge will be full swing clubs, and very much so 85-gram shafts. You get into the sand wedge and the lob wedge, those should be finesse shots. And no, they shouldn't have the same ones. They need to be just slightly heavier, not the 115s. Now, they do make a 90-gram wedge shaft, and Acra makes it. And I've got them sitting right up over there. And we put him in a set of Titleist for him, and he can't be happier. Now, there are other ones out there. Catalyst makes some, and these are in graphite, wedge shafts in graphite, so that the feel is very comparable, but the control is just so much better that your game is bound to improve. So that's what I would think. All righty. Matt's back with us. Made birdie, double bogey, very much on a par day, lipped out 6 birdie putts. You are the man. All right. Well, we burn a lot of edges in Pinehurst, I can tell you that. Although I can tell you that there was a lot of I never saw so many undulations where the ball would go like that right at the very end. So you had to be very confident in your putting stroke in order to make it go. Yeah, that is the best way to say it, Charles. I wasn't quite thinking it that way, but yeah, you are right. And I got to tell you, I did like the first set of courses. I had to get my and it was funny because at Talamore the driver was working like a champ. I just couldn't get anything to the green for some reason. It was like I was playing timid. And then the putting was okay. And then we get to the next one, the driver was working good, and I decided to start hitting the irons, and my putting fell off the side of the earth, and that was because of all this going on. Then the last 2 days, my driver left me. My hybrid was barely existent, but my irons, I was just striping them. And I was like, gee, many Christmas. And just one day to put them all together would be fantabulous. All right. Here we go. We got Advanced Dynamic Fitting Center. All right. Here we go. Or Golf Center, sorry. I was looking over here at Golf Club Fitters. Little trick to remove old bitter grips is to heat the grips with a torch or a heat gun, just enough to bring the rubbery back into the easy removal. That is absolutely true. James, what's up? Is it better to use steel or plastic extenders and steel shafts? Thinking about weight durability, only need a ½ inch. James, I am of the school that if you're working with steel, use steel extenders. If you're using graphite, use the plastic or the graphite extenders. That's so it's just same feel, same way of going, because you're gonna, adding a ½ inch will always add swing weight regardless of what you're adding. And as you said, it's this much sticking out, but it's this much going into the club. But I would stay with steel. Love to meet you at the PGA show. Well, I tell you what, when we get closer, we can figure out a meeting place and we'll get together. I don't have a problem with that. There's Nick again, removing grip method number 3. All right. Place a pressure needle gun in the hole at the end of the grip and pump until the shaft fills up with fluid. Keep pumping and finds its way down the gap in the shaft. Well, that would work. That's a heck of a lot of solvent. And yes, all up until bore throughs. And maybe then, it just depends on how they're glued. But that's another good one. Yeah. Good call. Oh, you did not. You were doing it beforehand, but I thank you for the compliment. TRS, hey Jim, just started playing golf 2 years ago. I can't justify buying new clubs. Bought a used 54-58 Callaway X Series Jaws wedges. They are too long for me. Sure, I shorten the shafts. Well, yeah. You got one of two things you can do. You can either choke down or you can cut them. And so that means, and if you go to cut them, that means you're going to get a new grip, which, hey, it might be the beginning of a new hobby, one way or the other. There's our man. How are you doing? Was the back okay? I saw you commenting out there on my Golf Spy, something about the back. Hopefully you're doing okay. Didn't have to pick up anybody and hurt your back, I hope. But yeah, I hope it's all good for you. I saw where they were talking about another one. I don't think that's in my future, but it'd been fun. That time I would drive though. Travis, what do you say? Jim just saw the video this week where you mentioned working another full-time job. Can you tell me about the balance? Seems your gig is pretty full-time. And Travis, it is. And I tell you what, this would not be a possibility without Robin. All right. She is the lifeblood of McGolf right now. Well, it has been since day one. And that was the reason why. So I do work another job. I work 410s in the nuclear industry, and I'm a manager over several groups. And I do my best to keep, I don't mind talking golf, but I do try to keep the lives separate. And then when I come home, she's got a list of work for me to do on after Mondays are off because of what we're doing here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are small fittings, or we do a lot of repair work or club building. Friday and Saturday is fittings and more club building repair work. And Sunday is cleanup. And that's how we've been doing it for, since 2006. And that's the reason why you see me taking these vacations now. We've earned some time, and that's what we're doing for. So it's been very good. I mean, and I don't think I'd trade it for anything else. It's allowed us to live in a very nice area in this area in this house. And when we're all said and done, I'm going to have one of the world's largest backyards. So very cool. And then Robin and I will be able to sit out right out that direction where my bays are at right now. And hopefully we'll take into cooking outdoors, and it'll be a lot of fun. All right, Brian. Hey, buddy. Glad to see you back. Alberta. Edmonton, Alberta. Let's be careful about that. 67 degrees, going to Arizona in 2 weeks. There is no end to my... Good for you, sir. Well done. There you go. That's what I was thinking. You know, everyone when they're sealing and you go to put on the grip and it leaks out, you know that, that's probably not it. Samson, what do you say, sir? Glad to see you back with us. 2 folks in the Germany area. Can a too hard shaft in flex cause a loss of club head speed? Dynamic goal is about 2 miles an hour faster than the X100, the same weight, same length. Maybe because of the very last of the tip kick. You're probably not seeing the tip kick, and that might be it. The other one is if you're totally aware of the fact that you're swinging an X flex versus a stiff flex, you very well may be trying to put a little bit more in it, and when you put a little bit more in it, muscles tend to tighten up, and when the muscles tighten up, they tend to slow down. So one of 2 options. I messed it up again after the meeting in Maryland. Okay. Well, good luck in Maine, bud. Hopefully you get what you're looking for. CHH Baseball. Well, the honeydews they do show up, but thank God Mrs. McGolf is not a very demanding woman. We do have our things, but like for instance, right now, she took the bull by the horns, and we put some new doors on the building, and she took the bull by the horns and got him taken care of. So I'm happy for that as well. All right. There's Cuz. Hey, what are you doing, kiddo? Yes, we do. One of the biggest backyards so you can hit golf balls in. Well, that might be kind of the idea. You mow down a little bit of a par 3. I got room enough for a par 3 in here from about any direction. And that we were just talking about that a couple days ago. Here's Samson saying hi to everybody. And there we go. Look at that. We made it to the bottom early with all kinds of folks talking to us. That's been a wonderful thing. Okay. So here we are at this part of it. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that bell down at the bottom. Follow us on the other social media platforms. Let's see if I can get you going like that. How about that? And that way the word gets out. You know, I don't have a video in a can, but we will be posting a video this week. It won't be tomorrow, but it will be this week. And to get it out there, we've got plenty to do. I didn't ask you guys, but I thought, what did you guys think of the one about the clubmaker mistakes? Is it something that you'd like to see more of, or is it something else? But I really think that it went over well, and we got enough information to do another one. So I think I'm going to do another one and do that. All right, a couple more, and then we can be done. Can you use any shaft to build a putter, or are there specific ones? Yes. I don't want to sound like a turd, but there are putter shafts out there, and there are specific use putter shafts. There's putter shafts with flares on the bottom to go over the hosel. There are putter shafts with 330, 355, and 370 tips to fit in particular hosel diameters based on the maker. And then there are double bend shafts, there are single bend shafts, there are ones that have fluted. You see on the old Titleist, the 8802s, that kind of stuff, in order to just basically rebuild to new. However, you can also use a very, very stiff shaft and get it to put in there. People have done that in the past as well. But if you're new to it and you're just looking, then I would say stay with the putter shaft. They're quite easy to find. Oh, there's Nick. Good night. It's late in Doucheland. Yes, you are. Thank you for staying up, Nick. I appreciate it very much. Staying up north of winter, hoping to get the PGA show this year. Well, Mr. Sunny V Golf, if you do, look me up. We'll get together and we'll sit down and we'll have a discussion. Maybe we bring in our other buddy that was just on here wanting to meet up. We could do that for certain. That'd be a lot of fun. Yes, there is. There's one about what is it? It's 5 miles as the crow flies. Yeah. What's in the bag? I know you asked me that, and I will do that. All right. Glad you liked it, Duke. Okay. Just built up a new Acura FX2 driver. Oh, speaking of that, the Tom, Acura also makes some putter shafts of various weights and sizes in graphite, which are actually quite nice too. All right. Dave, built up a new Acura FX2 driver shaft for my sim. An awesome shaft. What's the difference between the 3.0? The difference is the specs are changed. They're the slight tweaks, right? A little less of this, a little more of that, profile a little different, and the material. The material went up in quality. I don't think in quite possibly price or anything, but the quality went up. There's tons of different types of graphite. They should just a slightly nicer graphite, if memory serves. That's what it is. Okay, now we can say we did that. And again, guys all over the world, right? We can say that with a high level of confidence. Hopefully you enjoyed the Pinehurst review. That was I recommend it. If you guys can get there, you won't be disappointed. The quality of the golf courses are just right now. They're real good. Now some of them will be starting to go dormant as the temperatures get low, but the folks treat you good, and it was a good lodging experience for us. So I recommend it highly. All right, again, if you like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, watch for our video this week, and as always, let's see your scores go low.